Okay, so what is betterness? Betterness is the accumulation of small positive changes that achieves major growth. How many people think they can be better? Now, what does better tell you? It gives you permission to stop striving for some sort of ideal, some sign of perfection. And it gives you permission to just be better. Now, how many people are comfortable with the notion of just being better? Come on. How many people never raise their hand for anything ever? There you go. Good. Okay, good. That's me, and that's AJ, who's over there. That's really me. That's not someone in one of those suits that puts a pound on you. And I know the Hawaiian shirt adds a couple of pounds, but I was really over 400 pounds. And the reason I targeted bariatric support group meetings is because this was a group that I truly understood. I knew what it was like to be 410 pounds. I knew what it was like to be in a place where I couldn't do what I wanted to physically, where I was a home care physical therapist, and my patients wouldn't let me sit down in their house if they had antiques. Can you figure out why? Don't sit there! No, not there! That chair's expensive! Literally, I was the guy who would like break through stairways. If I would go, I broke through 4 basement stairways in my life. It's a very uncomfortable feeling to have someone have to rescue you out of a basement with heavy equipment. So this is my very first triathlon. So somewhere between my 410 pounds and my 180 pound triathlon is where I discovered betterness. Everybody's got a card. You can go to my website and learn my entire story if you're interested. But I don't need to bore you with it here. This is really about your story. This is really about what we're going to do for you. Betterness is really a cycle. And I'm going to run through the betterness cycle really quickly, and then we're going to move on to the meat and potatoes of how we're going to apply that to weight loss. Because the betterness cycle can apply to anything. So what is the principal precept? What is the main concept of betterness? An accumulation of very, very small changes. Anything will do, as long as it is in the direction of the goal that you want to attain, and as long as you're willing to build upon it with another small change. Those are the only 2 prerequisites of betterness. You with me so far? Now here's the thing. The first thing you need to do is to gain an awareness. Come on in. The first thing you need to do is gain an awareness. This is that you can't fix anything until you're aware that something needs to be fixed, right? That's pretty obvious. The next thing is you need to accept that it's really your problem and that you really need to fix it. How many people do you know who smoke? You know, anybody who smokes? Why do they do that? It's pretty obvious. Is there any problem with their awareness? Is there anyone who doesn't know smoking is bad for you? No. But somehow they still managed to do it. Well, here's the problem. They never really accepted that this was a problem that pertained to them. Oh, my father smoked for 40 years and nothing ever happened to him. It's like, it's like, I got good lungs. I got good lungs. Okay. Once you accept that it's your problem, you need to be accountable. No one's going to fix this for you. You're not heavy because your wife feeds you too much, okay? Or your husband feeds you too much or whatever. Once you become accountable to yourself, then you need to do something. This is where the rubber hits the road. If you're not going to do anything, guess what? Nothing's going to change. I have clients who love to come and talk to me because it's therapeutic for them to talk to me. And they love to talk about making their life better, but then they don't do anything. Because to them, they stop here. They just love to conceptualize, but they don't like to build anything. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people get through this in weight loss. They get to action and they lose weight. My goodness, if you looked at my weight loss history, it looks like this. I was here, and then I lost this, and then I gained this, and then I lost this, and then I gained this. And the reason is that I never really assimilated or redefined myself as a thin person. I remember one time when I lost weight, I would actually tell people, well, you know, I kind of tend to be obese. You tend to be obese? You know what that was? That was me telling myself, oh, it's just a matter of time. I'll gain the weight back. Even though I didn't want to. But my mind was set still as that other person, that heavy person. I never redefined myself. I never redefined my behaviors. Is there anybody here who has a habit that they do every single day? It's automatic. It's automatic because it's part of who you are. How many people in the room do exercise every day or every week or exercise regularly? Good. How many people do it because they think they should? How many people do it because you don't feel right if you don't? You just don't feel like yourself. Okay. When you get to that point, you have truly assimilated this behavior of exercise. It's okay if you're not at the point where you feel you're doing it just because you have to, because that's the only way you're going to get to here and redefine yourself. But at some point, the good news is, the hope in the equation is that you will get to this point, if you try, where you will redefine yourself. And all these things that are taking so much work to get done now will go a lot easier. And that's one of the reasons Betterness is so powerful, because I'm asking you to assimilate small behaviors to build bigger ones, rather than try to beat your head against the wall and assimilate a big behavior. You follow? If you became a person who exercised once a week, and you wouldn't give up that once a week for anything, well, then it's time to start thinking about twice a week or 3 times a week. You follow what I'm saying? It's hard to assimilate right away, this idea of becoming someone who exercises every day. Adaptation. Here's where the real problem is. I hear this all the time. You know, Doc, I was doing great. I had lost the weight, and then I gained it back when? Let me fill in the blank. I lost my job. I got a better job. I got divorced. I got married. Whatever it is. You see, the thing is, what did Walt Disney say? Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. Here's the thing. We're changing all the time. This is exactly where I started. If you don't adapt, if you don't grow, then you're going to engage in another cycle. It's called worseness. I got a whole other chart for that, but I'm not going to waste your time with it. So how do you combat the negative effects that occur for failure to adapt? You go right back to awareness. And the whole thing, it's a life cycle. It's not linear. Do you understand the difference? It doesn't have a start and an end. And here's the thing. It's not a cycle that you have to feel locked into in a negative sense. This is always a cycle of improvement. If you buy onto this philosophy, if you understand what I'm saying, you will be able to enjoy a life of continuous improvement. That's not bad. That's a good cycle to be in. You don't want that to end. You don't want it to end.